How do you want to be remembered?
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Do you have a moment where it was a welcome to the NFL moment for you?
The dude that I seen is like he came out of nowhere. Oh, I'm like, damn.
What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into yet another episode of the Fitz Podcast. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you can always call me Fitz. Riding shotgun with me is my partner in crime, Elijah Nixon. Thank you guys so much for subscribing on YouTube. If you're not a subscriber and this is your first time on the channel, please hit that bell down below. Follow myself and Elijah on our social media platforms and my production company, ONEWAY Productions. If you are a listener for the first time, go ahead and follow the podcast feed so you'll know when we drop our next episode. And this episode is very, very special because we have a special guest in the building, which is why we're in a studio right now. He grew up in Lafayette, Louisiana, turned heads as one of the most electrifying playmakers in college football. At LSU, he rewrote the record books, becoming the school's all-time leader in receiving yards. His final season in college was nothing short of dominant, over 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, and an All-American nod. Then he took the NFL by storm, setting a franchise record with 109 catches, 1,200 yards, and earning a Pro Bowl selection. The New York Giants have a superstar on their hands because it's Malik Nabers joining us here on the Fitz Podcast. Man. All those accolades, bro. I'm like, boy, this Pro Bowl, like all these yardage records and all this stuff already, man. Like, you already making it happen early on.
Appreciate it.
Man, thank you so much, first of all, for coming on the show. I know your time is very valuable, and we appreciate that. Let's start off with home. You grew up here in this area. For you, when did you know football was not just a game, but it could be a career and something that could change your life?
I would probably say early on in my career, probably at high school, having, Christian Archangel, there, Trey Harris, having those leaders in front of me, they kind of set the standard, especially Arch. He was going to college at LA Tech to play football. His dream was to make it to the league too. So he it kind of carried me on too, just to see how he worked, how his work ethic, continued to go harder and harder every year. So, by the time that started, he had left and I started playing on 7-on-7, and I was going against these top, recruits in the world and stuff like that. And I was always dominating them and stuff like that. So, I had Coach Donna Fugile there. He set up a great plan to me on how I can take my game to the next level. So, I followed that script. And by the time that it was time to make my decision to go to college to take the next step, to where, I can get an education, for free, where I'm from, I'm sure y'all know it's kind of hard for you to go get an education for free. But, I had the opportunity to do that. I had a great support system behind me. And by the time I got into college, my coaches, when they started seeing my talent, they was just like, if you continue to work hard, do everything I tell you to do, you can take your game to the next level and set your family up for life. So, here I am now trying to make that happen.
And one of the names you talked about was Trey Harris, who's an Ole Miss, a receiver. He's about to enter the draft himself, but he was your quarterback at Como. What was that relationship like?
Me and his relationship was like a brother relationship. It was hard to get him to change from basketball to come play for football, but we made that happen. We knew he wasn't no receiver, but I needed a quarterback at the time to take my skill to the next level. So I did my best job of recruiting him. But we all know how hard it is for you to go to college and change your position from being a quarterback to receiver. Especially he never played receiver, so for him to be just a natural receiver, for him to start playing receiver like 5 years ago, him for be highly picked in the NFL draft this upcoming year. I'm truly proud of him, and the way he carried himself I'm applauded by it, and I'm happy that he got the opportunity to go change his family's life.
Going off of that, it would have been your junior year when he transferred over to Ole Miss. What would it have been like if y'all would have been able to get him at LSU and y'all be on the same roster together there in college? What do you think that would have been like?
I think it would have been epic. I think it would have been epic. We tried our best to to get him over there, but at the time, about our LSU room is always stacked. So I'm glad he made the right decision to where he was going to be that receiver one person at his school, because we had a lot of guys in that was trying to fill in that position. We had me, Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacy, so it was a lot stacked. So I'm glad he made the right decision to go play for Ole Miss, made a name for himself, set some tremendous records over there, put his names, a household name, and he's carrying himself to the NFL draft.
Now this one is if you know, you know. You was originally committed to Mississippi State,
Yeah.
but then you switched over to LSU. Why did you make that decision?
I feel like that decision was gonna be when I made that decision, I felt like it was gonna be better for my future. I felt like, going to LSU, I'm gonna face the best defensive back at practice. I'm gonna face the best in the SEC. And everybody wanted to play LSU, so it's a competition with me. It's like if you there and you want to compete, show that you want to compete. And I wanted to compete against the best of the best every day. I wanted to put my skills to the test. I wanted to see if I was gonna be ready for the next level. So I feel like making that decision to LSU was just gonna be better for me personally, as a family decision. It's gonna be close to home. I can make a household name, and my whole state is what I wanted to do. My mom is not so far where she can come see my games. Also, the family don't have to travel far. So that was really the best thing, was just trying to make sure, family, got to see me play, set over on the TV. They want to see me in person. Was I gonna be ready for the next level and to make my name a household name? And I kind of think I did all that.
For sure. Keon Coleman, Jack Bish, Trey Harris, Kayshawn Boutte, and yourself. You list those name of receivers, and it's like them some dudes.
Right.
You know what I mean? What is it that's so special about the 3-3-7 that breeds great receivers out of this area?
I feel like it's the competition level that we have. It's the dog mentality that we have. It's like it's our roots. So it's like anytime that we can go compete and put on from where we from, I think we gratitude towards that. We push towards that. We want everybody to know who we are. We want everybody to know where we're from. We want everybody to know what we've been through. So it's that competitive nature that we have that has just been growing in us. And, it's that I want to be the best. So it's like, even though we all from the same areas, like it's that competition between us two, that who's going to be the best. It's the race to the best. So I think every time we got the opportunity to go out there and compete with other people, is always competing with ourselves too, but we still putting on for each other. We still root for each other.
Now, while you was there, you was catching passes from another top 5 pick, actually top 2, not 2 though.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels. How did that relationship grow with you guys?
I would say when he first got there, we really ain't know who was gonna be our quarterback. It was Brian Kelly's first year, coming in, first coaching staff I ever been through. So we didn't know what was gonna be happening. I didn't heard a lot about Jaden at Arizona State. I seen a lot of him, in college playing, but when he got there, and we had Nussmeyer there, that was my freshman buddy that came in. So, I had a great relationship with Nuss at the time. But, going through, camp and stuff like that, they ruled him the starter. And, that relationship, it happened. We had took a little trip to California to see where he was from and stuff like that. We had a great time there. It was a lot of receivers that came. It was like a little throwing trip that we threw. And we had an opportunity to get to know Jaden personally, get to know where he came from, get to know his story. So we gratitude towards how he grew up, how the stuff that he had to go through. So we knew his story. So it wasn't just we play football. It was, I want to know your story, my story. It makes the bond a little bit deeper. And after that year, it was a good year. We won a lot of games, went to the SEC championship, lost in that game. But over that next season, we had a little bit of off time. He went back home and stuff like that. But when he came back, we seen like a ultimate shift in his game. Like it was just like, nah, he's gonna do something special this year. And everybody was just like, what y'all gonna do with the quarterback? We was like Jaden, and everybody was like, I want to see Nuss. He's a gunslinger. I was like, nah, that's different. And me and him spent a lot of time outside the building, just like, going eat dinner, hanging out with each other outside, still watching film, still getting to know each other and stuff like that. So it made that relationship, it's just not a football relationship. So it became like a brotherly love. Like I talk to him every day. Like it's not one day like I can't call him because he gonna call me the next day and be like, what, it's beef or something? And I'm like, nah, dude, I just have stuff going on. So I talk to him every day. He's one of my brothers I talk to. So it's always good to, pick his brain, pick on him a little bit. But it still never changed, even though we play each other twice a year. it's still that competitive nature. It's still, you're my brother, I still love you. So it's always good to chop it up with him. He's a star. He did a lot of great things this year. Very proud of him. Very proud of his story that came through. So I seen him, wake up 5 a.m. every morning, go watch film to try to help us win the game. So he continued to do that. So his work ethic has been shown, all the accomplishments that he's been doing, all the accolades he getting, is only because, he worked hard for it and he's God's favorite.
You mentioned about the receiver room and how competitive it was. I mean, in your sophomore and junior year, you had Kayshawn Booty, Chris Hilton, Jack Bish, Jeray Jenkins, Kyron Lacey, Brian Thomas Jr. Bro, like, trying to just compete to get on the field had to be crazy, because any one of those guys, if they go to another school, they're a number one receiver. Right. How was that competition every single day being in that room with those guys?
Man, you waking up, going into that room, is like, we don't know. It's like I said, it's the first year Brian Kelly and them came in. We all in a new offense. We all trying to see who's going to be the receivers to play. Our coach don't even know who he's going to be. Only one person had their secure spot, and it was Kayshawn. The other people, we didn't know how it was going to go, so we always had to compete at practice. So it was never a day that you could just take a day off. Like, it's like your future lies in this practice. You either play around and you get put in the back, or you take a step forward. And it was every day you had to go out there and take a step forward. It's nothing you can't just not go in unprepared. They're gonna say, he's not prepared enough. You have to be on your P's and Q's every time you go out there. So that made it was very hard, but that made it much more rewarding when everything came your way and you got to play. But even though it was like that first year, we had to rotate a lot. So it was like me, Jeray, and Kayshawn one time. Then it was Kyron, me, BT one time. Then it was Kyron, Jack, BT. So it was always these rotations that we did. One series got one series, the next series was the other. So it was hard to maintain. You in the groove. You going out there with the first team. Boom, you get in the groove. Now you gotta sit out. You gotta sit out for that one. So it kind of like got you high, and then it kind of got you back. So we needed to stay in the game. So I told Coach Hank that, and he was like, "Look, we got a lot of guys that can play. We got to make sure everybody can play." So that first year, it was hard fitting everybody.
Yeah, you got a lot of mouths to feed, so you gotta make sure that everybody eats.
It get bad in the receiving room. It get bad in the receiving room.
And speaking of battles, once you solidified your spot, the SEC, one of the toughest. It's the toughest conference out there. Who was the best DB you went up against, and why was that matchup so tough?
It's always hard for me to pick and choose, because like I went against like 4 a game. Like I was outside, I was slot, I was on the BT side. So it's like we rotated a lot. Like it was so hard, but Ronaldo Green was a great guy, a great DB I played. Terry Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, those are still household names. So I'll probably say those 3 guys is just every time. Well, it was Bama guys for sure. Every time we played Bama, you always gotta go. You always gotta be on your P's and Q's, because they got Nick Saban. Nick Saban watching you from the moment you play your first game to your last game. So it's like he marking everything down that he sees about you to help his guys win. So every time we played Bama DBs, it was always a good matchup. It was always, I gotta be locked in. There was no playing around. It's trash being talked. So it's like those DBs is probably the best DBs, Alabama DBs.
Now, you left LSU as the all-time leader in receiving yards, getting that done, 3,003 yards.
And receptions.
And receptions. He said, put some respect on my name. You heard that. Just to know that you were a part of that legendary list and you were able to pass up some of the greats. Like, when you went in, was that something that you had on your mind of like, I'm going to break that record? Or was it something that just naturally happened as you went along in your career?
No, that was never in my mind of me just doing that. In my mind, it was, and it's the craziest thing ever. Somebody told me this is, God gives you everything that you need, not what you want. When I went to LSU, I wanted to be number 7. I wanted to be a Biletnikoff winner. I wanted to be first receiver taken off the board. I had all these accolades that I set for myself. I walked around with the Biletnikoff on my phone for 3 years before I even got mentioned in it. So that was all the things that I wanted. But everything I needed, God, put in place for me. So having all those accolades, resetting the record books, making my name, solidified in history for, forever. That was everything that I didn't plan at all. It just came with it. It just came with my work ethic, with just with how my coach is pushing me to be great. All the things that, I needed to take my step to the next level. So yeah, it was never in my mind that I was going to do any of those things.
Man, that Bolitnikov, the whole scenario, because I think it was only like 1 or 2 votes that separated between you and Marvin. It was like, to me, when I was looking at the whole situation, I was like, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
Like, all of that situation, how it unfolded. But like for you, you mentioned about God giving you what you need and not what you want all the time. Like, how were you able to pivot after that, saying like, I feel like I'm better than him, but I didn't get what I wanted? How were you able to use that as fuel going along the way?
I mean, it's one of those things that I still use. It's one of those things that, I can't lie and say it don't harm me every day. It's like I said, that's one of the only accolades that I wanted. Like, it was to solidify that you was the best receiver in that year. Like, it's no other person that was better than you. And they got a lot of schools that is able to have that receiver that's the best receiver in that year. And I had the opportunity to do that. Not only that I felt like I was like that, I didn't get rewarded by it. So it's still one of those things that I keep in the back of my mind for sure. But yeah, I still go through days where I'm looking at all the things that I accomplished and just like that one slipped by. Yeah.
And now you fast forward and get drafted to the Giants. In my neck of the woods up north.
Yeah.
What's the media difference between a LSU media and the Giants media?
They love football around there. It's high media around there. It's the Big Apple, the big city. It's where everything. It's the root of everything over there. So they take it pretty serious. I'm sure everybody knows. Everybody's seen a lot. But yeah, that's a different kind of media market. But it has pros and cons. If you set yourself up right and use it wisely, you can make a big household name out of yourself. So you gotta watch what you say, how you say it. So I learned that first year. Gotta act like a vet this year. So yeah, it's different. It's different. A lot of things that go on at LSU, it might not pop up. It might pop up. Everything that happens in New York is gonna pop up. Everybody gonna say something about it. So it's big.
Bro, and you mentioned that, like, just in training camp alone, I mean, we even talked about it on one of the episodes. You go in there, y'all have the joint practice with the Lions. Mm-hmm. You and Kirby Joseph get into it, and it's blown up. And I'm like, that happens all the time. And then you and Jaden have y'all's, rookie bet or whatever. And I know people do that all the time. And it gets blown up out of proportion and all that stuff. Like, being a part of that, does it ever like weigh on you at any time? Because like, man, anything that I say or do can almost get blown out of proportion? Or have you learned how to navigate that as you've gone along?
Yeah, I learned how to navigate it. I learned how to use it to my advantage for sure. But it was a learning experience that everything I say can be used against me in a court of law. Everything that I say, it can be received wrong. Like, you got to really say something and it have to be just received one way, because anything that you say can be turned around. He said it this way, he said it that way. So it's better for you to it's not better for you to not say anything. It's better for you to just pick the smart way out and just, try to hope he said the right way. But yeah, like, you learn how to navigate it. You learn how to just, it's hard. Some days I want to wake up and say what I want in the media. Some days, and then it's like, nah, I can't say that. Some days I want to go do stuff and I'm like, nah, I can't go do that. I got a season coming up. Some days, it has its pros and cons, but it comes with the job. It's just, that's the sacrifice that I took when I decided to play this sport. So, I got to navigate it.
Now, I'm gonna go back over with these accolades again. 109 catches, over 1,200 yards. Mind you, you did it with 3 different quarterbacks. 3 different quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen. 4 different quarterbacks. I'm sorry. 4 different quarterbacks. But but you have to have self-confidence when you walk out there, right? Did you think you was gonna dominate like that since when you heard your name called and you walked on stage and shake Roger Goodell's hand? Did you think he was going to dominate as soon as you hit that field?
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. No, absolutely not. I knew that once I transferred from college, the competition level was gonna be way different. Like, this is grown men, they 28, 30, like, it's different. Like, I'm going in here, I'm 21. I'm 20 at the time. I'm going to hit 20. Not even hitting 21 yet. I'm still a rookie. But my mindset is different. I'm just older. Like, I get it now. Like, some of the things that I went through when I was younger at the time, it was just my mindset at the time. My mindset didn't really change when I had to go to the league. Like, it was just different. Like, I'm just going in there. I'm like, I have a doubt in my mind that I might not be ready, but I'm still gonna give it my best shot to be like, no, I'm still better than everybody. But it's still that little doubt in your mind. You just like, am I ready? But after a few days of going against a lot of those guys, I'm like, nah, like, I can play. So it's like, it made me a little bit more confident. It made me just a little bit more competitive when I went out there and I started dominating when I first got out there. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, okay, cool. They can't mess with me. So it made everything just a little bit more confident, get my swag back instead of just like being so tense, being tight up. I gotta do everything right, my release gotta be right. And when it's like, once you do everything, you like, nah, they can't mess with me, it goes back to that level of just like, okay, I'm smooth. I don't gotta worry about my competition. I ain't gotta worry about my skill set. I'm good. I can work it on, finding my playbook, learning the defense and stuff like that. So that always makes it better when people fear you. You gotta make them fear you, because once they fear you, they're gonna start to learn how to, play against you. They're gonna start to be, subconscious about how to guard you and stuff like that. So, and when you somebody they don't gotta worry about, they're gonna be like, I ain't gotta worry about it. I'm gonna play them just like this. We gotta make sure one is taken care of. We gotta know where one is at all times. It kind of messes their head up a little bit. So that's all you gotta do, is just put some little fight in them a little bit early.
Yeah. Take us back to draft night. The Giants choose you in the draft. What was going through your mind throughout that whole night? Because I know that's a daunting process. You waking up early, you're doing all the media stuff leading up to it. Then you have the actual draft stuff. You're in the green room. What was going through your mind when you finally got the call?
It was, I'm going far from home, going really far. I had seen a lot of stuff. It was just like 10 years later, 10 years before they picked the receiver, came out from LSU, Odell. It was one of those guys that I watched coming up a long time. It was, one of the guys I can call right now at any time, ask him a question. So he's one of my people I have in my corner that's rooting for me. And it was like, how do I take over the city? How can I make sure my presence is felt the moment I get there? How can I change the franchise? How can I help this team win? That was all going through my mind. Is I'm picked really high as a receiver. You can't be a bust. You gotta go in, you gotta go and change some stuff. Like, it gotta be different. And that was all going through my mind. Everybody was always saying like I was mad, but it was a lot going through my mind. It's like I didn't have no facial expression. I was in my head, especially, changing everybody's life that's around you, that saw you grow up, saw you play, saw how you took the game, saw, your whole journey. Everything is going through that. And I didn't even have no emotions to even cry about it, because I knew that I was going to be picked high. I knew I had did everything right to make sure that I was, going to be picked on this night. But it was just, how can I go in here and change everybody's life, change my life, change the franchise, change my name, and make it big, make it real big, and not be a buzz. That was my only thing. I just didn't want to be a buzz.
Yeah, I remember draft night. We were at your cousin's house,
Yep.
and so we're watching it on TV, and they call your name. Everybody's in the house cheering and all that stuff. And like, in my mind, I'm knowing like there's 1,000 things racing through his head. His mom's there, he's hugging her and all this stuff. You trying to make sure you get on the stage, don't fall, like all those things going through your mind. Just to like look back on that night and see it, kind of hindsight 2020, was there anything different that you would have done going in, or any moment that you would have done something different?
No, I think I made everything like I made everything like on that night. It was I probably could have smiled more at the beginning. I probably could have smiled more. It's probably the only thing while the camera's on. Probably could have smiled more, but like I said, everything was running through my mind. But everybody that was around there at that table was there for a reason. Everybody that was there for that night was there for a reason. Had had something to do with my journey. So it meant more that I got to share the opportunity with them than me calling my name. They got to see, a shift in my life. They got to see, my dream come true. So it was really more about them celebrating with me than anything.
Now, do you have a moment where it was a welcome to the NFL moment for you this year?
Yeah, Washington week. I took a shallow, and I was running with the ball, and I seen somebody in my left eye, but I was like, he's not gonna be able to catch me. So I'm running with Theo. I'm running down the sideline, and somebody's in front of Theo, and also somebody's in the back of Theo, and somebody is running from the corner of my eye, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna follow Theo. I'm gonna lead him this way, and I'm gonna cut it up, and I'm gonna score. So I'm running. I pointed at Theo. I'm telling him to block, and I cut. And the dude that I seen is like he came out of nowhere. Oh, and he hit me, and I'm like, damn. But it's on national TV, so I get up and I'm like, ah. He went to talk in front of my face. He went to talk smack in front of me. But when he seen I got up, he was like, and he turned around. And after they pulled me out the game, it was like he might have got a concussion. I'm like, no, I'm good. But I ain't lying, that one hurt. That one hurt. That was like the biggest hit so far I had faced in my life. Like, I ain't never got hit that hard.
That's how it goes, man. You go through your rookie season, have a phenomenal rookie season, and you finish as an Offensive Rookie of the Year finalist. Again, on the show, we were talking about it. We felt like it was going to come down to you and Jaden, and it closely came to that point. Obviously, Jaden wins it. After he hugs his mom, you're the second person that he daps up, and then it's BT. Like, looking back on that night, how proud were you knowing, you mentioned about him waking up at 5 a.m. when y'all were LSU, knowing the type of worker he is, and to see him get that moment?
I was happy for him. I'm also like, damn, I lost. But extremely happy for him. I know he put in a lot of work for that. But like I said, I told him that I'd rather go through that night knowing that one of us gonna win it than letting somebody else win it. Especially since we all had that thing in our mind where we was like, I'm gonna win the Rookie of the Year. Like, we had talked about it like I think it was on our pro day at LSU the night before we thrown around. We like, nah, I'm gonna win the Pro Bowl. I'm gonna win the Rookie of the Year. And we all said it. And for us to be there all together and have the opportunity to do it, it only shows how much we worked hard for it. And it's not just no talk. Like, this real life. Like, we don't play no games when we say stuff like that. And out of all three of us, we had the opportunity to share with each other. Like, we got drafted same day. Spend that whole day together, spend our whole years together, fighting to get drafted, and for us to be at the end of the year rooting for each other still, and then have the opportunity to win Rookie of the Year. That was a brotherly moment that we had the opportunity to share another night together.
Now, Malik, you're a complete receiver. You could play wide, you could go on a slot, you went off the line, you could catch, you do everything. Went yards after catch. What do you say is you take the most pride about in your game?
I'll probably say like the ultimate competitor. Like, anywhere I'm at on the field, like, I know for sure I can play the position. Like, when I was in high school, I was an outside receiver. I was a deep threat artist. I was a jump ball specialist. Got to college, I was a slot merchant, slot machine. Like, they put me everywhere. They did jet sweeps, all that. I had to learn a new position, got that down pack, made it big, I was a slot guy. No, this is the slot guy. We putting him anywhere. Sophomore year, changed from being a slot guy, went back to outside, I wasn't a jump ball specialist. I was a third down guy, fourth down guy, the number one receiver, to where, I'm going against the best DB the whole game. Then my junior year, I came to be that guy, the double move guy, jet sweep guy, outside guy, slot guy. We can put him anywhere. He knows the whole offense, tight end, running back. It was anywhere. It was just the ultimate competitor. I want to get way better than anybody that's on the field. I want to beat anybody that's in front of me for sure. Like I can't go home and be like I got locked down. Like I can't watch the film and be like he won more reps than me. Like I can't go home like that. I can't be on the media and see Malik got locked down by this dude. It's not. I don't sit well like that. I can't go home like that. So it's the ultimate competitor. Just I want to beat this person before he beat me. It gotta happen. Like I'm not going home like that. So that's what I take most prideful in my game is I don't want to be beat at all. Like I want to be the person doing the beating. Like I don't want to be on the other side. It don't feel good.
Thanks. So LSU has produced some of the most elite receivers that we've seen in the league. Jarvis Landry, Justin Jefferson, Odell, Jamar Chase, BT, and yourself. Why is LSU wide receiver you?
I would say because like anywhere we go, we always make a difference. Like if Jamar would have went to Georgia, he would have made a difference. It's not that it's just about LSU receivers. It's when you go into that place, that school, that room makes you better. Like when we went up in there and we seen Jarvis, Odell, Jamar, Jefferson, when we seen them on that wall in the room, it was how can I get on that room? How can I get in that room, or how can I make a stand in this spot to where, I'm gonna be here forever. Like even when I die, my face gonna still be on here, my name gonna be everywhere. And that's how I took it. I don't know how, BT took it because, we never had that conversation like that. But I know exactly how I took it. It was I wanna be here forever. I want my name to be here forever. Like so every time I walk into that receiver room, and I probably went watch film a couple times by myself, and I always walked in the room and just took a look at all the names that was on there. I went in the back, they got all the awards that these guys won. Belinikoff was only two dudes. It was Jamar and it was somebody else. I'm not sure who it was. And I looked at it and I'm like, I gotta have my name right there. There's only a couple guys that have done it. So, and that was just the main focus on when I got in there. How can I be one of the best receivers in there? So that was probably that's the only thing that I feel like receivers as our job that goes through our mind is how can I be better than this receiver? Cause we competitive. So it's like even when we got people in our room, it's like receiver selfish. I'm gonna just say it like that. We selfish. So we always want to be better than anybody else. So I feel like that's what I went into, was just like how can I be better than all these guys that came through here?
I mean, speaking of the influence that you've seen at LSU, is there anybody in the league or this year, your first year, that was influential to you?
Wait, say that again?
Anybody that was influenced to you through your first year in the league that influenced you, whether it was a teammate, coaches, or anybody like that?
I would say, nah, not really. I would probably say the main thing was my coach. It was Coach Hankton. He was the main one that it's like, he always, anytime like, a game, after the game, I always call him, chop it up, be like, you seen what happened? And stuff like that. He'd be like, yeah, you got to get better at that. So that's the main person that I don't want to let down. So it's like, anytime, I got the opportunity to go show that those guys was right. Even Coach Carter, they fought for me. Coach Carter fought for me to get that offer at LSU. And they both fought for me to get to the league. So anytime I had the opportunity to go out there and showcase that those guys was right about my talent, they didn't stay on the table for nothing. That's the main people that I go into the game that I have the ultimate motivation for, is those guys, because like I said, they stood on the table for me. They push me to be great. They know the standard. They know how I'm supposed to play. And when I play at that level of competition and I get a call, it's like, that's a good game. That's really the most applauding thing, is about when you can make sure you didn't let your coach down. That was the main thing in my head, was I can't let those guys that fought at the table for me go down.
Let's switch gears a little bit. We know what you can do bringing heat on the field, but off the field, in the fashion world, I mean, you got your statement pieces on right now, you know what I'm saying? Got the studs there, and the beanie and everything. Like, where did your love for fashion or style or anything like that? Where did they come from?
I'll probably say I always been a unique dresser. I always try to match colors. I always try to be color coordinated. That was always a thing that was just maintaining it. Just when I got an outfit, it's not just I'm just putting a lot of colors on. I have a simple amount of colors that I want to showcase. And as I started getting to the league, it started switching over a little bit. It was, you gotta wear like the exotic stuff for everybody to get the attention and stuff like that. But it also still have to be clean. Like you just can't wear a big jacket and some skinny jeans. And it was Isaiah Simmons, Cordell Flott, all those guys, they really into fashion a lot. And, I started going out with those guys and stuff like that. And I was still wearing the same thing where I'm from, where it's always cool to wear it. And I'm around them and it's like, they look clean, like they can wear that fit at anywhere. And they color coordinated, they got all the exotic pieces. And I'm like, man, I gotta learn how to take my style to the next level in order me to be put in a place where my outfit is maintained until like I can be at a business occasion and I'm still have a business attire. I can be casual. I can also go with streetwear. So that's the main thing when I do every fit is how can I have an outfit that fits every occasion. Like I don't want to walk up to a businessman and I'm in skinny jeans with a streetwear shirt and he in a tie with a suit and stuff like that. He more presentable than me. So it's all about, carrying myself at a high level and also being placed to where I can go talk to anybody at any time and still be able to fit in. So that's what every time I do it just.
Speaking of that, then who was some of your inspirations of athletes, musicians, whoever?
I'll probably say Isaiah because I'm with him a lot, so I always see his fashion pieces a lot. I'll probably say Odell Beckham for sure too. Stephon Diggs, Gunna, he be dressing well, and Javante Davis. That's all those guys. Like they be putting some pieces on here.
Right.
If you could like collaborate with a fashion brand or come up with your own line of clothwear, streetwear, anything like that, who would you want to do it with, and kind of how would you design it?
I would probably say it's two. It's probably Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton, the pieces that they come out with every season is always something that I always go get because it's you can fit it with anything. It can be casual, it can be streetwear. So that would be the main thing. And Bottega too. Bottega coming out with some nice stuff that they've been coming out with. But probably the main thing would be probably Louis Vuitton because I wear it a lot, and it's probably not that hard to get it out. And you can do a lot of different things with Louis Vuitton to where you can fit everybody's style. I'm not sure yet how I will style it. I got a few things in my mind that I'm probably gonna draw a little bit just to probably take my fashion to the next level because that's just starting to hurt my pockets to where I'm starting to have to buy. So I'd rather make my own stuff and do it like that. But I'll probably say Louis Vuitton because it wouldn't be that hard to get it out, and a lot of people will be able to style it.
Louis, y'all hearing it now?
It's hard to get a Louis deal though.
Yeah,
it's very hard to get a Louis deal.
Now New York got like a fashion statement. It's different. LA everywhere got a fashion statement. But have you stepped into like you saw yourself probably putting on some Timbs or anything yet? Like have you stepped in New York scene?
Yeah, I put on some Timbs a few times. I like the Timbs, but I like the Louis V Timbs better because it has a round, like on the Timbs, on the regular Timbs, like it has like a dip in them, and it makes it to where the toe is up. I ain't like that, but the Louis V Timbs that have like an oval tip to where it's a little bit thicker, so where you can wear like some baggy jeans to where it sit right. But yeah, I'm starting to get in the Timbs world. I'm starting to go to like some fashion shows. I did like a little shoe with GQ. It was my first time of wearing like exotic pieces, and everybody was saying it fit me well, it looked good on me. So I'm gonna probably do something else with GQ if God spares. And if they want to do anything else, I'm probably gonna visit Paris for Fashion Week also. Try to take it to the next level and see where this journey takes me.
For sure. I mean, who would you say is somebody that is the best dressed in the league, and then who is somebody that you would say, like, hey, bro, you might need to kind of step your game up a little bit? Who would you say?
Best dressed in the league. I would probably say this year was probably Stephon Diggs. Stephon has some like unique pieces that I don't know where he found it from,
Yeah.
and he styles it right, puts a nice bag with it, got a nice, watch piece with it, able to, they be tucking their shirts and I'm not there yet. And they be wearing the chrome belts and all that. Like they've been in the league a little long time. They got some money to spend. So it's kind of like picking your range. But Stephon Diggs was for sure somebody that got to take their talent to the next level is I'm gonna go with somebody on my team. Let me see. I'm gonna pick with somebody. I'm gonna pick Tay Banks.
Oh man.
Pick Devontae Banks.
Oh, Tay,
Tay.
Come on now.
Tay, you gotta step your
Gotta
game
step
up.
it up, Tay.
And
Got some work with.
Is this good enough to walk down for a game day?
Yeah,
Walk down
you
again?
got
I
the
go
color
down?
coordinating.
I do it.
You just need some. I just need a piece of orange somewhere. if you would have had like
Go ahead, man.
just a little piece of orange, you'd have been good. Yeah, you've been straight.
All right, cool.
Is because there's been a conversation I've seen on Twitter, and I got polo on right now. Is polo uncle wear? Like, is that considered for like older people? Because if so, I'm not finna wear this polo. I'm getting rid of that.
A button-up polo, probably. Yeah,
Oh no.
button-up. If you got like a white polo tee, you good. Like I can put that as an undershirt, something like that. But yeah, a polo button.
Now, going on to next season, man. You've been working. I know you've been putting in work already. What's the next step for you, dog?
The next step is another 1,000 yards, Pro Bowl selection, All Pro, and another 100-yard, receptions, and about like 7 to 10 touchdowns. I gotta take the touchdowns up, especially having 18 games. I gotta find a way to get in the end zone more, and that's probably the main thing. And then hopefully to compete for Offensive Player of the Year.
I want to talk about the end zone thing before we get back.
Yeah.
Y'all be really practicing celebrations?
Well, me personally, I do. I'm not sure about everybody else, but when I was at LSU, we did practice. It was mainly me and Kyron. Like it was before we went to the field. We always did it in the workout because it was always music playing. So we was always trying to get ready before practice. But yeah, I still practice my dance moves, just trying to have a different style when I go into the end zone. It's kind of like it's your trademark, really. It's how can you market yourself. This is the main thing. And when you get in the end zone, like, a lot of guys have like their signature stuff to where they can market, it be marketable. And I'm still trying to find, I feel like everybody knows my marketable thing, but I'm trying to make it bigger than what it is and still also have it maintained to be, that's Malik's dance, and try to find something I can be marketable by.
Okay. The Giants, y'all have some young potential pieces, including yourself. Obviously y'all played with 4 quarterbacks last year, so y'all need some stability there. Been talks about Matthew Stafford out there. It talks about the draft, Shador, Cam Ward. I know that's not your job, but if you had a preference of what you would like to see in your quarterback, who's throwing you the ball next year, what would you like to see?
I'm not gonna say any names, but I'm gonna just be like, I want a leader. I want somebody that I heard a lot of. I'm gonna just say this. I heard a lot of stories to be like, when that quarterback sees something in film, sees on the field, he's immediately changing everybody. He's like, okay, we got checks, to where like we always above the defense. We didn't really have that last year. We didn't have nobody that's able to figure out what the defense is doing and how to overtake it. So we need that extra leader that's in the building all the time, to where we know every time we go out on the field, we know we got a good guy that's always leading us. We know we got somebody that's want to win. We know we got somebody that's always going to make the right decisions to where to throw the ball at. We always got somebody that, that's always above the defense and how we going to approach this offensive scheme. So we got to have that. We have to have a gunslinger. We have to be more, downfielded threat. We have to make sure, our run game as well also, whether that be having a mobile guy, whether that be having, somebody that can sit in the pocket. We have to get a lot of pieces to where maintaining to where we can win some football games next year, because, it's a big schedule coming up next year. So we gotta put some things in place to where we're able to be sitting right next year, to where we can either, be in the playoffs or be contenders to do a lot of great stuff.
Okay. Let's fast forward 10, 15 years from now. It's all said and done for you. How do you want to be remembered as a Giants player, as somebody in the NFL? How does Malik Nabers want to be remembered?
First ballot Hall of Famer. That's the only accomplishment that somebody told me that they want to see for me, and I'm gonna do everything in my power to make that happen. I'm not gonna say who yet, but that's the main thing that he told me he want from me. And I plan on not letting that person down at all. So first ballot Hall of Famer.
You got anything else?
Nah, man, I'm stamped. I'm fashion stamped. I'm cool, bro. I don't need nothing else, bro.
I got you, man. I got you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we thank y'all so much once again for tuning in to the Fitz Take Podcast. Be sure to smash that subscribe button for us there on the channel. It continues to help us grow. Follow us wherever you listen to your podcast: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, and Amazon Music. We're going to continue to keep dropping some heat like this for y'all. And we thank Malik Nabers for hopping on the show once again. So signing out for Elijah Nixon, I'm Jamarcus Fitzpatrick. We'll see you guys next time.